Hey there, and welcome back to Scrap with Penny, where paper meets story. Today I am going to be creating with the Vicki Boutin Cut and Paste Mini Kit from the ScrapRoom's July Flavor of the Month Kit Club. If you're not familiar, the ScrapRoom is a monthly club that sends out coordinated scrapbook kits with just the right amount of paper and embellishments to jumpstart your creativity without overwhelming you, and also giving you some ideas for some jumping off points between the community, the Freaky Fast Friday Formula Challenge, and the sketch. And I have had so much fun playing along with the July kit, and it's a great way to try new collections and stretch your style a little bit without busting your budget by buying the whole collection. So speaking of stretching, this Vicki Boutin kit is just a little outside my comfort zone, but I'm excited to try to lean into the bold colors and the layered textures. I am actually going to pull in the July sketch as my jumping off point, and I'll be mixing in a few personal touches to bring this page to life, I hope. Big thanks to Rochelle Spears and the ScrapRoom team for inviting me to be a guest designer this month. What a treat it has been to play with these kits and share the creative process with you. So before I get started on my page, let me walk you through this kit. This sticker sheet was included in the page kit, which has 3 pieces of pattern paper, this bold navy geometric with this very vibrant floral on the other side, this heavy script or text piece of paper, and on the reverse side is this lovely little graph paper and this layered, textured, retro looking circular pie shape. I don't know what to call it. Y'all, that's how much out of my element I am. But I have plans for this, and I'm going to see if I can pull it off. Then the third piece is this washi. So this collection is interesting because it's kind of like a creative collection, but it's also an everyday collection. So you'll see in a minute what I mean. And then look at this beautiful stripe with this hello. I have plans for this. I do. So when I say the embellishments are interesting, you know, you've got all these florals, a butterfly, but then you've got a roll of masking tape. You've got some fun iced tea, a summer drink, and a glue stick. So these die cuts were part of the embellishment add-on kit, which I was also gifted with, and it is going to give me some things I can use to help bring my story to life. And then finally, the last 2 pieces of the July kit were these 2 sheets of basil, and the color is Fig Swirl. Now, I have never seen this before, so you can teach an old dog new tricks. All right, so that is where we're starting. And I'm going to show these the side up that I'm going to use. And I might fussy cut some on this side, I'm not sure. And then of course we'll lean on some stickers as our final embellishing touch. And let me show you my pictures. I've got them printed already. So I don't know exactly where the page will land yet, but I do know the heart behind it. And it's about this current season of life and the quiet, beautiful pieces that make it mine. So let's get scrapping and see where it lands. Let me clear all this off. I think the first thing that I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to gut this piece of paper. I kind of want to salvage this edge of this graph paper, but I don't know yet how I'm going to pull that off. I'll put the sketch up in screen and that'll kind of show you. So the July sketch has, you know, 2 big circles on it, and it seemed to me like this was an obvious choice. So I used my silhouette and I came in and I created a circle cut centered at 7 inches. And then I've got this remnant, which, you know, you could do as an offset, but I was mainly after a larger offset like so, and you could rotate it around for interest. You wouldn't have to match it up, and we can offset that. And then look what I have. I have this graph paper that's naturally gutted with this in it. So, oh, I did cut one more small circle to create some separation, so if you were to set this back in there, there would be paper between it. So if we do this, come on, there we go. And we come in like this. So I'm kind of thinking, you know, just looking at possibilities here. So I think what I want to do next is go ahead and cut my big stripe. And if I look at the sketch, it measures to be about 4 3/4. And so I'm going to start at 5 because I can trim it off, but if I cut it too short, you know, you can't add it back. So I have it cut and I slipped it under, but I do want to use the hello, and so I think that I'll rotate my sketch to go this way, and you can see that my circle is bumping up inside of that. So I could either decide to trim it here and here, or I can just come on down and go outside of the bounds and do something kind of like this. So what I'm thinking about that hello today, and just kind of putting today up there as far as I can. So let me cut a small circle out of this, and then let me trim my photos. I printed my photos at 3 by 3. I'm going to trim them with just a little bit of white on them, and then I'm thinking maybe a matte. When I put my circle onto the mat, I'm going to probably shove it up into this corner so that I can have these flowers down here to fussy cut if I want. So here's my smaller circle, and this one is at 5 inches. And I'm thinking, so kind of the theme behind my story is my layered life. Layered. And if you're new to me, you may not know that my mom moved in with us in April of 2024. She has dementia, and I am her caregiver. And so toward that end, a lot of my days are spent balancing time between interacting and caring for my mom and creating, and then loving on my dogs. And so this is kind of the story. What do you think? It's a it's a very different look for me, but you know what I was thinking about this cut and paste title is that that's kind of what we get to do with life. We get to cut and paste, keep the parts we want, and kind of end up assembling life together into something that we love. And so I think this is going to be a good story for me to tell. I went to my die cut add-on kit and I pulled out the flowers that are in that, and I've got 3 here, but I can't help but think there's a lot of goodness on the reverse side of that navy. So I think it's time to fussy cut, and I'm probably going to watch some TV while I do this. But I do have some really good fussy cut scissors, and it's the Tim Holtz spring scissors. So if y'all don't have these, they're a must-have tool if you're going to fussy cut. So what I'm thinking will happen is I want to trim this off, get rid of this white, and come in and trim right here, and then I can layer flowers up around here, come with 1 or 2 flowers down here, and that'll give me a visual triangle on my flowers. And then I'm also going to stitch. So I'm not sure where, but I'm going to stitch somewhere. So I did go out and trim this down and then come in and cut right on that, and then I trim this right up against that, and I'm happy with that. Then on my flower paper, I have this sorted into piles. I think these might be too hard to cut, but they're there if I need them. I've got this one to cut, this, all of these little images here. I've separated them out so I can cut into them, and I've got them kind of sorted by really small ones and then others. And then over here, these are things that I probably won't be able to use because they're not full images. So if you have never fussy cut, the way that I do it is to separate the pieces so that you can only worry about a little bit at a time. That way, if your scissors slips, you're not accidentally going to damage the image next to it. Okay, so now I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty on this. Oh, and just real quick, I'm not going to need all of these, so I'm going to go, flower by flower and layer as I go. So a couple of TV episodes later, I am done with fussy cutting for now, I think, and I wanted to show you what I've got. So I ran these flowers up here, so there's kind of a perpetual assortment of flowers here, and then I've got this down here. So it's a lot. It's feeling very busy to me, so I think the best thing I can do is start taping down some of the more solid pieces and getting these photos matted so that it makes sense of what I'm seeing. So I think it's got a good direction. I just am treading I'm treading lightly here as I cut and paste this layout together. So real quick, I came in 1 graph square on each side and trimmed it down, and I've got this Typhoon Blue, Basil Typhoon Blue border behind it. And I did go to my stash for that, but what kind of makes me happy about it is that navy is my favorite color. So if this is a layout about my layered life, it seems like it's appropriate that the blue should be on it, and this blue matches the inside blue of this piece of paper, so that's why I picked it. So the other thing is, as I lay it down, you're going to see this blue supports the papers a little more and helps them pop. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep taping things down. I have my photo mats cut, and I've got them down far enough to where I can bump that today right there. And one of my standard little tricks is to mat my cardstock first and then take my pictures to that. I found that it helps me get a more even margin. So I'm just going to pop these up. Obviously I'm using my centering ruler, and my pictures are 3-inch squared as a print, and then they've got that little white margin, and so these photo mats are 3 1/4 squared, which is going to be right about here. Okay, so I moved my T-square to the bottom, and I've shared before that I use these little acrylic stamping corners to position the space of my items. So I'm just going to come in, I'm going to use this 3/16 and bump up against my T-square. Then I'm going to come over, whoops, to this third one. I really am dependent on my magnets to hold my paper still. I have a magnetic glass board, and the the magnets are just such a good tool. Okay, so these are even and they look even. So let me get my pictures. I would say one thing I do with a lot of frequency is grab pictures from different days to tell a story. So none of these photos are on the same day, and that's okay. I don't honestly even think they're all the same year, but they represent what I'm trying to say. And when it gets down to it, I'll probably put the date of this last one. I just took this picture the other day, I think earlier this week, in fact. So I think that navy cardstock helps ground it. I think I'm going to do a journaling block. I don't think there's any way that strips would have a chance of, in my opinion, you know, solely my opinion, standing out against all that's about to go down. But let me place the flowers a little bit and see. Of course, we know we can do this. I ran foam tape behind this, and it's just long strips of 1/8 inch foam that I get from scrapbook.com. I kind of like that tilted up like that. Let's see. Yeah, I think we'll go like that. So that's my title, Hello Today. I really toyed with the idea of popping some of these circles up on foam, but I kind of felt like if I wanted a chance at stitching, I wouldn't really be able to do that. I'm trying to work around the dogs here on the placement. And I did have this here. I'll have to pull that up to tuck it behind. I know it's a little different than what I had before, but I'm looking at contrast. So I reworked that top corner a little bit and I like it more, but what I'm noticing down here is I don't have any pink, and so I have this flower which I'm going to fussy cut, and oh yeah, that's going to work down there. So I have my journaling printed up and I went ahead and taped it down. I decided to come left of center a little bit to balance what's going on up here and to tie into this, make this one visual area. And so I rearranged these two flowers, and I pulled this from the sticker sheet. I got this little pink cut, and I think that's a good pop. And then I've got a little bit of orange here as well. And so I think for the most part, I'm ready to tape everything down. It's pretty busy for me, but you know, I'm just leaning into this paper. So I'll be right back. So I have all of the flowers down, and I think what needs to happen next is some stitching. For me, I think the texture would really help define some of this. So I'm going to do a stitch along here, and I'm going to do a stitch here. You'll see just very little of it. And then I think I'm going to do one stitch in the middle of this perimeter circle, and so then you'll see stitching here and here. And after I get that done, I may come in with a straight stitch up here, but I need to see how it looks. So I'm just going to kind of feel my way through this, and I'm going to start with this biggest piece right here. And I think to bring in the blue, I'm going to stitch in this blue. Test audio, test video after stitching. Hey there, I am back and my layout is all but finished. I'm going to set it to the side and go over the kit leftovers first, and then I'll come back to the layout. So I actually ended up with both sheets of this cardstock left, and man, that is gold. I can turn these into something for sure. So, you know, give me all the basil. And these are the two cuts, the perimeter cuts that created the gap for me for my circles. So quite a bit of these die cuts left from the add-on kit. And then I also have quite a few stickers left over. So for me, the paper was plenty busy, and I brought in a lot of the flowers. So I did use 3 phrase stickers, and I'll go over that. And then I used this leaf. So I thought about these two, but it just didn't feel right for my journaling. And then let me slide this over. I'll show you. I could fussy cut plenty more and get, you know, another layout going. So it's amazing what you can do on one piece of paper. I will say this, I chose on my fussy cutting to go right up to the line of the image, and to make it easy on yourself, and what I realized about halfway through is I could have created a white margin just like a die cut. So learn from me, and instead of coming right up to the edge, you can make it a little easier on yourself and leave a little white margin. So what do you think about the leftovers? Still some pretty good stuff left on the table, right? I am very pleased with my stitching. I think it makes all the difference in the world because, for one, it gives some texture that competes visually against all of the pattern and color. And it's kind of like a soft place for your eye to land. It also accentuates and calls out the 3 circles. It's really sweet to me, the symbolism of 3 in this layout. I did 3 photos for 3 of my main life interests right now, and there are 3 sunflowers. So my grandmother loves sunflowers, and we just kind of all do in our family. And so, like, you know, this is my legacy of my grandmother, my mom, and me. And I've got the 3 circles that back up that, and it just, I really like how it all came together. I'm going to read you the journaling because then maybe you'll understand the story, what drove the choices. The younger me would never have envisioned me living life as a dog mom, a full-time scrapbooker, and a caregiver to my mom. I'm so blessed in each of these aspects. I get to plan my days, spend time with those I love, doing what I love, and I currently have very little stress and so very much joy. Yes, there are some hard moments in the days, but I wake up each morning ready to say hello today and wonder just what fun and adventure the day will hold. It's a layered life, a multifaceted culmination of so many things, a life which I dearly love. So I want to say a special thanks to Rochelle for this challenge because I used the sketch loosely, you know, I adapted it, and I used this paper line, which I probably would not have played with. So I love it. I love how it looks, and let me just kind of walk you through. I used DMC 930, and I came on the interior of both of my circles, and then right here I chose to ride the middle. And to do that, I used this old, I mean maybe like 20 years old, this basil circle template. And when I was down here on this interior, I just lined the next line right up to the edge, and then that helped me poke the middle. And you know, when you work with a circle, you always have to be adapting and changing it, so shifting it, because maybe your curves are not identical. And I did This Is What Matters sticker here next to the picture of me with Mom on the front porch drinking coffee. And then Take It All In. I decided down here I needed a little more of that lighter pink, and so this was the phrase that was in that pink, and that worked. And then here, the Love This Life. So I tried to move around all the colors. I did end up adding a little orange flower up here because there wasn't really any orange up here. I brought this leaf in here. I was okay that this blue showed here and here because I think it ties into the edge. And then I used that other little coral pink down here, not wanting to leave any on the table. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flowers here, and 1, 2, 3 flowers here. So trying to get some balance, and I just want to thank you for playing along and letting me create with this. And I really enjoyed the process. It was fun for me to lean into the bold colors and patterns of the Vicki Boutin cut and paste mini kit, and I think it really supported the story of the season of my life right now. So this month, I think maybe yesterday is the 2-month anniversary of my retirement, so it's kind of fun to come back and remember that and kind of mark that moment. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful every day. And speaking of thankful, I want to give a special thanks again to Rochelle Spears and the Scrap Room for inviting me to be part of the July guest design team. And don't go away yet. I still have the Echo Park Firefly kit to work with, in addition to some leftovers from this kit and from the Paige Evans Happy Haven kit. So I don't know what I've got up my sleeve, but I kind of want to see if I can use it all up. I don't know. So if you enjoyed this process, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And thank you if you're visiting from the Scrap Room community. And if you're one of my regular subscribers, it's so great hanging out with you. So as always, I appreciate you and thanks so much.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon with more layouts, videos, and a little stash busted magic. So please come back and crop with me. Until next time, happy scrapping, and remember, this is where paper meets story. Bye-bye.